How to conceive the policy framework in natural areas to emphasize their development and/or existence. This question can be answered in three parts: the declination of the territorial framework, the engagement in project territories, the approach of the cultural project, and the make of the recreational laboratories. Every natural area becomes a territory when actors and public agents interact in the same organization. Multiple collectives, endogenous and exogenous, intervene on a dynamic territory. The social, political, economic and technological processes can cause the instability of functioning territory, its gestation and its possible orientations. The territories are in relation with changing economic market and technological innovations. How to adapt to those changes? The territories are under tension due to multiple forms of development, tensions, and controversy between people with competing interests. Today's public is not uniform and can be defined in several ways. Which public is the territories directed to? What postures, behavior and action to privilege to face the modern world's vulnerabilities? Necessity for the territories to choose a trajectory and to adopt a proactive attitude to decide on their destiny and their place among the various choices available. The project approach is often to reference to take action on the future and to propose an intentional intervention framework. But what type of project or trajectory to choose? We can identify 4 different forms of projects: the functional project, the marketing project, the territorialized project, and the localized cultural project. The project developers like and favor projects that induce a way to conceive the value of the places and the relation with them. The 2 most common forms are the functional project, emphasizing the instrumental logics, and the marketing project, which relates the notions of strategy, positioning, and clients. These 4 universes are often evoked to qualify how to intervene on natural spaces and how to think them. It is enough to determine the value of a territory in connection with specific resources. Other territories pay interest to the recreational practices and their relation with a living environment made of various agents, objects, people, spaces, history. In the third form, actors define a territory project around a community of different practices. It can activate multiple collective intelligences that can team up for common projects about innovation, creativity in associative and cultural logics. The collective process engaged among the community become an essential component of the project approach. In the fourth form, actors wish to go further by developing a recreational laboratory. Its goal consists in discussing of recreational cultures to define and build a cultural form among various existing cultural forms. What are the focal points for cultural polarities? Why one or another? Are some polarities more legitimate than others? Getting involved in a cultural project induces getting involved in a referent cultural marking. What recreative practices privilege? Based on various studies, major cultural forms have been identified: traditional, modern, hypermodern. They organize the relation with the recreational practices. However, are all the recreational forms equal? Do they all say the same thing about their relation with the nature, the earth, to others, to the technique, to the body, to the symbols, or to the imaginary? In a time impacted by an injection to a societal transition, how to think and talk about the recreational transition, how to act within the sustainable body's ecology. It is the challenge of the recreational laboratories to define and discuss the cultural form able to express the commitment in a recreational transition. To decline a cultural project is to try to reinforce the cultural marking of the territory around the cultural dimension chosen that express their vision of the world. Choosing a form is accepting to commit in a specific world and to acquire the means to amplify its presence and the invested area. The more the cultural form will be present, the more the marking and the cultural capital of the place will be important. It will reinforce its value and its capacity to be a territory between the other parties. Setting up a recreational laboratory makes possible the activation of a local collective that will take action in the making of the localized cultural system, allowing the cultural form to appear. Around the four polarities of the LCS, the cultural form will shape itself. Then, as the business take action, its presence and its reach will amplify secular and adaptive logic. In many places, recreational laboratories are emerging. Those are modifying the history and the trajectory of the rural communities, raising concerns about politics and how to live together, amplifying the local habitability. Let us take an example. To give birth to imaginary passes in Calades, Massif Central, a recreational laboratory has emerged, engaged in the creation of a cultural form, starting a localized cultural system. Implementation of the SCL to give birth to the imaginary passes. An economy of roles was formed between the actors and the publics. A cultural intelligence made it possible to define the return cultural forms concept. A cultural engineering has been developed through passes to give birth to imaginary courses around the fire, the wind, the stone, or the water. An evaluative practice gives the chance to understand the cultural dynamic on the territory's social life, politics, and economy. A social appropriation of the cultural form took place on the imaginary passes, animations, inhabitants, visits, performances, shows. Let's look at the terrain to introduce the dynamic and some recreational laboratories.
Au début, le marché n'était pas au marché couvert. Il était sur la place de l'église. Les marchands mettaient les cajots de légumes sur le mur. Des bouchers, il y en avait au moins 2, sinon 3. Oui, parce qu'il y avait un poissonnier.
On n'avait pas l'eau dans les maisons, on allait chercher de l'eau à la fontaine, on mettait le linge à tremper, on le frottait et on venait le rincer ici. Le linge sous le bras, on venait le rincer. Puis alors il y avait des étandoirs partout là, la commune quoi.
Well, it's been years since we carved our names on a clock tower door before everything changed. We were big-eyed boys with a salt on our skin, and we'd throw our kites to the wind, and they fly on and on and on and on, on and on and on and on, on and on and on and on.
Les uns connaissaient la terre, les autres connaissent la pierre, tu sais. Et là, on a fait appel au talent de chacun. Alors, les cultivateurs avec les poètes, les écrivains, tout le monde a travaillé ensemble.
Ils ont fait quoi ensemble?
Oui.
Ils faisaient quoi ensemble?
Ben, ils ont construit ensemble. Ils ont rêvé aussi au projet ensemble parce que si le rêve ne devenait pas un rêve commun. Mais ça aussi, c'est quand même une belle histoire parce que même si on a reçu des sous, la recherche a été intéressante. On a intellectualisé un peu plus l'histoire de la forêt. Tout ça, là, on a les différentes essences. On a une recherche complète des arbres d'Amérique. On s'est dit, ça prend de l'information. Tous les arbres que vous voyez là, il n'y avait rien ici, c'était planche. C'est les écoles des 2 villages aux côtés avec les enfants qui sont venus planter les arbres. Ils ont appris, ils ont connu. Il y a tout un travail de recherche qu'ils ont fait. Là, on pourrait... à un moment donné, on avait une exposition sur ça.
Il n'y a pas une poésie autour de l'arbre, si?
Ben, il y en a.
Well, it's been years since we whispered soft with the torchlight on and the big light off.
Et tout ça de façon assez bien intégrée, tout ça. Alors c'est sûr qu'au début, c'était rien en fait. Tu sais, il y avait puis des petites cabanes désuètes et tout ça, mais on a juste avancé là-dedans. Et là, à un moment donné, après quelques années, on a vu que ce projet-là s'apparentait être un peu un projet de micro-société en fait. Fait que c'était comme un laboratoire vivant où est-ce que en bon idéaliste qu'on était, ben on pouvait essayer des choses.
Well, it's been years since we whispered soft with the torchlight on and the big light off. We were on and on and on and on. 'Cause we're circles, you see. We go round, round the sun, in and out like the sea. I'll circle round you, you will circle round me.